a Rubik's Cube.
No, you gotta start backwards.
Now I remember why I put this down here in the first place.
Despite the cool reputation that Rubik's Cube gets for being impossible to solve, it's actually really not that hard. Now, learning how to solve the Rubik's Cube can not only impress your friends, it can also provide various benefits to help you in academic studies, such as memorization techniques or just relaxation in general. Now, as college students, what better hobby than that of one that can cause relaxation and academic benefits? So, I have been cubing or solving Rubik's Cube as fast as I can. For about 3 years now, I have started a club in high school and went to a few small competitions. So, cubing is an easy to learn hobby, especially amidst a pandemic. It provides cognitive and physical improvements such as memory, problem solving, hand-eye coordination, spatial awareness. And it also provides its members with a very caring and really welcoming, tight-knit community. Now, about the cube being impossible to solve, I'm here to tell you that that's just not the case. Despite what everyone says, solving a cube is a very easy hobby to pick up and learn, while leaving plenty of room for mastery. You can learn how to solve a cube in pretty much a day, and you can learn how to solve it without help in a week. Now, Felix Zemdeg's world-class cuber who can solve the cube under 5 seconds says you don't have to be a genius or anything like that to solve a cube. You just need lots of patience and practice. Now, this video I learned how to solve a cube in 10 minutes, and it worked for me. So for you, could do the same. There are multiple ways how to solve a cube. This video goes over CFOP, but there are two main styles, CFOP and Rue. Now, I'll go over CFOP so you can get a general idea of what's to come. I'm not that professional in Rue, so I won't tell you about that. CFOP, the steps are to make a cross, to get the corners, then the edges, then to orient the last layer, then to permute the last layer. Orientation means you get all the pieces in the right place, and permutation means you get them facing in the right place, if that makes sense. Now, there are also blindfolded solvers, which is exactly how it sounds, and there are many academic benefits to learning how to solve a cube blindfolded, which we'll get into later. Now, there are also patterns too, so you don't have to solve a cube from being completely scrambled to solve. You can make patterns from a solved state like anything. They're very complex patterns you can memorize, or even make your own using computators and conjunctions, which we will talk about later. Now, there are also different kinds of puzzles you can get into. For example, the most common one is a 3x3, which is the one I've been demonstrating on. But there's also things like 2x2, 7x7, all of these. But all of them have their own unique pros and cons. So, solving a cube also takes lots of time to completely master, and I'm not there yet, but I can tell you a little bit of the more complicated side of cubing just to see if you're interested. You can learn how to solve a cube without knowing any of this, but I think it's interesting to learn. So there are things called algorithms in a cube, right? Things, you all heard, like what's the algorithm to solve a cube, what's the pattern? Well, there is no pattern. What you do is you have sets of computators and conjunctions. A computator can only move 2 pieces on a cube, while a conjunction can move any piece anywhere. And conjunctions are pretty much just fancy computators. So for example, if we have A, B, and C, if we want to move A and B, and we can only move A and B, then we use a computator that just moves A and B. So now we have B, A, and C. But if we want to move A and C, but we only can move A and B, we have to use a computator and a conjunction. Now the conjunction moves, for example, it would move the C and the B, they swap places. So now we have A, C, and B. Now we'll use a computator to swap A and C together, so C will be first, so swap them again. So now we have C, A, and B. Then we have to undo the conjunction, so we swap B and A together. So now we have the final thing as C, B, and A. So we effectively swapped C and A using conjunction as well as the computator. Now, technique can also be something that you can improve on. It's kind of like a sport. If you ever want to take a sport, if you're bored or if you just want to get out somewhere, instead of going outside because you're antisocial, you can do cubing. Cubing is a great way to just let loose like a sport. There are many things you can improve on, like fingers, finger tricks, that's what we call them. It's pretty much technique of how your fingers move when you solve the cube. So for example, instead of doing a flick to do the top layer, which we call U, you could do, instead of doing that twice, you can do something called double flick. Now this might not make a big difference while you're just doing a double flick by itself, but when you're having algorithms that have a bunch of stuff that need to be fast, it really adds up. Now, supercomputers, what? It's actually a field of study to see what the least amount of moves you can use to solve a cube is. Now, the average is around 20 for supercomputers, but the average around humans is about 50 to 60 professionally. So, there's also a field of study if you're interested in. Cubing also provides lots of cognitive and physical benefits. So for example, studies have shown that there's an increase in problem-solving skills among students that have learned how to solve a cube. And all of academia pretty much needs problem-solving skills, from agriculture to business. You need problem-solving skills. So a cube can provide that. Now, cubing also provides spatial awareness. Now, a study showed that this increase in spatial awareness that you get from solving the cube can also help you understand different modes of instruction. For example, like a textbook. So, solving a cube can help you learn faster. Also, solving a cube blindfolded, for example, increases or it trains your brain to memorize things faster. For example, do you remember CHOMPS from biology, which is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphate, something? Yeah. Well, I need to review, but if you solve a cube blindfolded, it's pretty much the same concept. You would memorize different sets of letters and make a story around them, and that can help you solve the cube blindfolded. Once you practice this, it can help you academically, because once you learn how to do this with a cube, you can use that in relation to your studies. That can help you study for pretty much anything, or it can help you cram for a midterm that's tomorrow but you didn't study. That's probably going to be the case. And as for physical benefits, it can also help you with finger dexterity, or it can help you with just overall stamina. For example, if you're writing a long essay in an in-person class and your arm is getting tired, maybe solving a cube will help you write longer. You last longer, you know. When I started cubing, my fingers would get really sore because my addiction lasted pretty much 3 hours of the day, and my fingers would get sore. Now they're perfectly fine. I've gotten used to it. And also, if you're ever stressed out, solving a cube can be a great way to keep your mind active while also kind of getting away from what you're trying to study from. But keeping your mind active is the most important part, because you have to consciously think about different movements you want to do in the cube. While it's all muscle memory, you still have to think about what muscle memories to apply to the cube, you know? It's like if you know how to ride a bike, you need to know where to stop also. Same thing with the cube. Not stopping, but anyway, speed cubing also provides a community that's a great place to be social and just make friends. Now you can do solo competitions, which is no fun, but pretty much take an average of 3 or 5 to find your average time, or you can take something called global average, which is having 100, 1,000 solves. People do that in a day, which is crazy, but yeah. That can find your global average, so pretty much how fast you are. That's a really good representation of how fast you are. But that's not what people compete about. People compete in public competitions, which started in 1984 in spring. Now they're much more common. The WCA, World Cube Association, hosts events pretty much in most colleges. Probably Cal Poly has had one at some point, but since the pandemic, there has been no opportunity to be online, so you have moved to a new form of a medium of competition as Zoom, so you have online competitions. So no matter what, cubing has brought people together, so there's no excuse, right? Now you know pretty much everything about cubing, and you should start learning. It's a very easy hobby to learn, or it could be a quite complex hobby if you so choose. There are also many cognitive and physical benefits like memory and finger dexterity. It's also a great community to immerse yourself into cubing culture. Solving the Rubik's Cube pretty much has something for everyone. Now, since its invention in 1974 by architect Erno Rubik, it has fascinated the minds of millions of people. But have you ever wondered how fast someone can actually solve it? What's the fastest someone has solved it? Well, it was actually the previous record was held by Felix Zemdig with 4.22 seconds. but that was broken in 2019 by someone called Yu Shengdu, who has broken 3.47 seconds, which is insanely fast. Now, it doesn't take a genius to solve a cube, but solving a cube could make you a genius. Wouldn't you want to be the next genius?